Are we witnessing the end of China's economic powerhouse? Explosive new evidence has emerged that reveals a shocking scam at the heart of the Chinese economy, implicating the Communist Party of China and the yuan currency. Recent evidence suggests that the Chinese economy is on the brink of collapse, and in this video, we explore the details of this unfolding crisis. From the implications for global financial systems to the future of China's economy, this expose takes a deep dive into the disturbing situation. In this video, we delve deep into the collapse of China's economy and the scandal that threatens to shake the global financial systems to its core. Join us as we examine the facts and implications of the CCP and yuan scam, its potential impact on the world stage, and what it means for China's future. The Chinese economy has been a subject of intense scrutiny in recent years. With its rapid growth and increasing global influence, China has become one of the world's leading economies. However, recent reports suggest that the Chinese economy is collapsing, and there are growing concerns about the stability of the country's financial system. One of the major factors contributing to this collapse is the alleged scamming by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and the devaluation of the yuan. The CCP, which has been in power since 1949, has been accused of engaging in corrupt practices that have siphoned off large amounts of money from the economy. The devaluation of the yuan, on the other hand, has led to a decrease in the value of Chinese exports, making them less competitive on the global market. The collapse of the Chinese economy would have far-reaching implications for the global economy, given the country's status as one of the world's largest economies. It would affect global trade as well as the supply chains of many multinational corporations that rely on China for their manufacturing needs. The impact of the collapse would also be felt by countries that have invested heavily in China and rely on its economic stability. In this context, it's crucial to understand the underlying factors contributing to the collapse of the Chinese economy, as well as its potential consequences. This topic has generated a lot of discussion and debate, and it's essential to examine the evidence and facts to gain a clear understanding of what is happening in the Chinese economy. The economy of China is under jeopardy from a developing crisis. The nation's economy has shrunk due to the Chinese Communist Party's strict zero COVID-19 policy. According to figures given by Beijing, the national 2022 GDP growth climbed by just 0.4%, which made it certain that the CCP would fall short of its goal of 5.5% growth this year. Apart from the macroeconomic environment, a number of severe fraud instances involving rural banks in Henan province have rocked the nation's financial industry. Client deposits totaling 40 billion yuan, $5.94 billion, have vanished, and withdrawals from their accounts have been suspended, exposing regulatory shortcomings and a murky aspect to banking in rural China that involves cooperation between banks and criminal groups. The ideological foundation of the CCP is responsible for some of China's economic problems, while the use of the wrong growth strategy is responsible for others. Party ideology and a subpar growth plan are both equally to blame for sowing the economic disaster in China. In addition to these structural issues brought on by the Marxist-Leninist ideology of the CCP, China's real estate market is also in danger of collapsing, which is a typical sign that the country has chosen the wrong growth path. Over 70% of family wealth in China is related to the real estate industry, which contributes roughly 30% of the country's GDP growth and is the ideal environment for a bubble. The housing market is crumbling, youth unemployment has reached a record level, growth has stagnated, and businesses are dealing with ongoing supply chain issues. The second largest economy in the world is struggling to cope with the effects of a severe drought, and its enormous real estate sector is experiencing negative effects from taking on too much debt. Yet, Beijing's strict adherence to a zero-COVID policy is making things significantly worse, and there is no indication that this will change this year. 8 megacities have experienced complete or partial lockdowns during the past 2 weeks. 127 million people live in these important hubs of transportation and industries. According to CNN calculations based on government records, at least 74 cities nationwide have been cut off since late August, affecting more than 313 million people. Last week, Goldman Sachs estimated that 35% of China's GDP is produced in cities where lockdowns have occurred. Notwithstanding the harm, the most stringent controls are being used to eradicate the virus in China, as seen by the most recent limitations. According to Craig Singleton, Senior China Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, a think tank based in Washington, D.C., Beijing appears willing to absorb the economic and social costs that stem from its zero-COVID policy, because the alternative, widespread infections with corresponding hospitalizations and deaths, represents an even greater threat to the government's legitimacy. Maintaining that legitimacy is more essential than ever for Chinese leader Xi Jinping, as he campaigns to be elected for an unprecedented third term when the Communist Party convenes for its most significant congress in a decade next month. Substantial policy changes before the party congress were doubtful, although Singleton speculated that after Xi Jinping's political future was secured in early 2023, some policies would be softened. Even so, there are numerous urgent systemic challenges to China's economy that must be addressed. But the party is running out of both time and accessible policy levers, the official continued. In the upcoming months, the economy will continue to deteriorate, according to Raymond Young, Chief Greater China Economist for ANZ Research. When the party convention draws near, local governments will be more inclined to emphasizing zero COVID and snuffing out the viral epidemics, he continued. Restrictions on COVID will become more stringent during China's Golden September, Silver October, which is often the busiest time for property sales. A dramatic downturn in the global economy, meanwhile, is not good news for China's growth, according to Young, as it would have an adverse effect on its exports due to waning demand from the US and European markets. He now projects that the Chinese economy will expand by just 3% this year, far short of Beijing's stated goal of 5.5%. More pessimistic analysts are available. This week, Nomura reduced their prediction to 2.7%. A real estate crisis that is spreading across the nation and encompassing 25 provinces is an even more catastrophic issue. Several home buyers are refusing to make mortgage payments on residential projects that are as yet unfinished and have been abandoned by extremely indebted developers who've run out of finance. The circumstances have revealed the extent to which China's economy is dependent on real estate, a market that has developed into a massive Ponzi scheme to maintain growth. Tens of millions of people's livelihoods would be adversely affected by the burst of China's real estate bubble, which would have far-reaching effects on the country's socio-economic and political stability. China's economy is clearly in jeopardy after moving at breakneck speed for more than 4 decades. In truth, this crisis has been asleep in China for a very long time, but Beijing has continually covered the rifts with substantial monetary and fiscal stimulus injections, as well as currency manipulation to keep the wheels turning. When it was discovered that China's 10 largest developers were burdened with a combined debt mountain of 10.5 trillion yuan last year, the terrible nature of the problem became clear. Chinese home builders, who were struggling under the weight of unmanageable liabilities, faced an explosive surge of mortgage defaults on a magnitude greater than that of the American subprime mortgage crisis in 2007. Unfinished construction projects continue to be an issue in the background, aggravating the predicament and ensuring a greater reckoning when the bubble inevitably bursts. The only way the nation can escape this snare is by implementing structural reforms on both the political and economic fronts. Beijing will experience a relapse of its previous fiscal disease, which could result in a number of issues, including eventual economic collapse, if it continues to adhere to its digital dictatorship model and tries to solve issues like the COVID-19 pandemic and the economy using ideology and its own brand of political correctness. As we come to the end of this video, it's clear that the collapse of China's economy is a crisis with far-reaching implications. The evidence of a scam at the heart of their economy, implicating the Communist Party of China and the yuan currency, has sent shockwaves around the world. While the situation remains uncertain, it's essential to stay informed and aware of developments as they unfold. What actions do you think should be taken to address the situation? And what do you expect to see in the coming days and weeks? Share your comments below, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons for more videos.